Ford versus Ferrari. In 1963, Ford Motor Company Vice President Lee Iacocca, played by that asshole sheriff from Walking Dead, proposes to Henry Ford II to purchase the cash-strapped Italian sports and racing car manufacturer Ferrari as a means of boosting their domestic car sales through Ferrari's participation in the 24 Hour of Le Mans, which is a fancy 24-hour race car event in France where cheese is made. Owner Enzo Ferrari, however, uses Ford's offer to secure a more lucrative deal with Fiat that allows him to retain complete ownership of the racing part Scuderia Ferrari, which means scooter place for scooters. Scuderia must be Italian for racing team. In rejecting the proposed deal, Ferrari intentionally insults Ford Motor Company, Lee Iacocca, and Ford II, saying that he's a daddy's boy and he's not like his father. His father was a badass, awesome guy who was down with Nazis. Fuck that dude. And he's not that guy. He's some rich bitch who is only where he is because his father put him there. Ford is furious of this. He gets mad and says, okay, I'll give you blank check to make me a car that could beat Ferrari in his famous super fancy race that he always wins. For this task, Lee Iacocca, the Punisher, goes to ask Carroll Shelby, played by Matt Damon. And I heard from, people that knew Carroll Shelby that they thought he did a good job, so I'm gonna stand by that because he's playing a real person, That's gonna be my opinion of his acting in this work. A former guy who won Le Mans in '59 but was forced to retire because he's got heart problems. Shelby enlists his friend Ken Miles, a hot-tempered British racer and struggling mechanic, played by that kid James Venables in Empire of the Sun, which is kind of funny because there's like a murderer, there's a British murderer who is named James Venables, who took a kid out in the middle of the woods with his buddy and just murdered him, all kinds of gnarly ways too. That guy got out of jail. He's running around in the communities. It wouldn't surprise me. If you look at the guy, a little face work, totally could be Ezra Miller. Could be him. Who knows? The kid from, let's call him Batman. Favorite Christian Bale movie? Batman? Nah. I really liked Empire of the Sun. He was great in that. Believed everything about it. He's great in this movie. What else? He's really fun in American Psycho, which was crazy. Didn't hate him in that Terminator movie. You know what? I think the best movie I've ever seen him in, after thinking about it for way too fucking long, was The Machinist, right? Where he fucking just went straight ape shit and lost all the weight that he had. He's like a fucking walking skeleton. That's just dedication, okay? Pulling a 16-hour day with 0 calories. That had to hurt, right? So that's dedication. That was great. He was great in that. Wasn't Marky Mark in that? Marky Mark in that? I feel like Marky Mark was in that. Marky Mark was pretty good in that. His fucking wife was fucking killed it. Him and his wife killed that movie. Mechanic? The Machinist? I think it's The Machinist, right? Best movie he's ever been in, in my opinion. And I think I heard from people who knew the guy, Ken Miles, that he did a great job. So I'm going to stand by that. Christian did a great job because people that knew the guy were like, yeah, he's doing a great job. What was I fucking went off on that crazy tangent trying to remember some good movie that fucking Christian Bale was in. Shelby and Miles design and test the UK-built GT40 MK prototype at Los Angeles Airport, fixing its design flaws until it is... No, it wasn't at LAX. It was at Ontario. Maybe we were pretending it was LAX, but that shit was Ontario. Maybe that's what the big X was supposed to be, right? LAX. But that shit was out in Ontario. I thought it meant the runway. Don't land on this runway because there's cars running around on it. But that's probably what that X means. Fixing its design flaws until it's race ready. After Miles, insults Leo Beebe, who's the number 2 guy at Ford. He sees him at this, Mustang launch of the Mustangs. Shelby invites him to see the Mustangs. He goes there, and then his kid is doing what all people do at car shows, which is open the fucking door and look inside the car. It's not uncommon. It's not uncalled for or, inappropriate or anything. Like, it is entirely to be expected that somebody's going to open the car, unless there's a sign out saying, do not touch the car, which there wasn't. Otherwise, he would have been like, read the sign, kid. He's just being a fucking controlling douchebag, played by Josh Lucas, who plays an adequately controlling douchebag in this movie. They, have words, because, he's like, hey, is this your kid? Tell him not to be touching my shit. I'm in charge of this stuff. I'm the boss over here. And he's like, well, I could do that, but your boss is shit, because this car is fucking jack. In order for this to be a good car, you're going to have to lose, 2,000 pounds and, 17 inches. So BB is, automatically butthurt. Doesn't take criticism at all. He is a little bitch throughout the entire movie. He's not as much of a bitch as he could have been. I feel like he could have been a way bigger bitch. I've seen Josh Lucas be a bigger bitch in other shit, so I think James Mangold was like, hey, a little less bitch. I don't know. He thinks that Miles is gonna be a public relations liability because he's mouthy and talks shit to authority figures. He forces the team to lose, sending the B team instead of the A team. Ford's like, well, why'd we lose? And he's like, well, because you made me send the bench warmers and you made me keep Michael Jordan on the bench. And you're making me send in the Muggsy Bogues of the world. Although they are great, they are no LeBron. If he was 7 feet tall, he probably would have been the best basketball player to ever exist. But he was 5'2", so he's not. He's good enough to play in NBA, right? But if he was a foot taller, how much better would he have been? I'm doing the best I can with what you're giving me. You are handicapping me by making me take the second best guys. And I told you who the best guy is. This guy's a butthurt because of whatever. We never sussed that out. But that guy is the guy. So, keep this guy whatever, but just have them not interact and let this guy do what he does. And that guy can do what he does away from that guy. It's silly. But, power trips, white guy power trips, can't get enough of them, right? Ford sees that as a defeat. Shelby, being the salesman extraordinaire that he is, says, nah, we got him right where we want him because he's never had a car go as fast as our car. So he knows all we have to do is get a guy who can drive a car that fast behind the wheel and he's fucked. So let me get that guy behind the wheel, dumbass. So then they're testing it more, brakes go out. Gets in a wreck, and then it freaks his kid out. So throughout the rest of the movie, the kid's gonna be, how are the brakes? Ooh, what? Brakes? Brakes? What? But he's okay. I mean, he was all right. He's a little kid. I believed him as a little kid. So then BB hates Miles so much that sucks Ford's dick in his office, straight up. Goes to town on his dick. And Ford's like, all right, well, you tell Shelby because, I already told Shelby we gotta win. And if you're saying that you're going to handicap him again, you better do it because I'm not doing it. He's like, no, wait, I totally want to do this. This is why I sucked your dick, bro. This is the whole reason why I did that. But Shelby locks BB in his office, gets Ford in the super fast race car, and he drives Ford around LAX runways so fast that he cries, I didn't know. I had no idea. If only Daddy could see this. Shelby's just basically like, look, dude, if you want to win this, we can win this. But the guy who's gonna win it is the guy your guy hates. So he already sucked my dick, bro. I already told him he's the boss of the race team. So I don't know. You got to get Ken to suck his dick or whatever. He's like, look, Ken's not sucking anybody's dick. So if you want this to happen, all right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Ken wins Daytona. He races Le Mans. If he loses Daytona, you can have my Shelby racing team thing. You ever see this? You ever know this is? See, that's a C, S, right? And it's a racetrack. Isn't that cool? That's awesome. This is the coolest racetrack design. This guy was way ahead of his time. He's like the Steve Jobs of the beginning of America. He's like the first Steve Jobs ever. But he didn't fucking have a problem with buttons. Or jacks, for that matter. Motherfucking cheap ass. Miles wins Daytona. Shocker! So the first lap, Miles struggles with a faulty door. They fix it. The real guy, Charlie, he was like, what they just did was super reductive. It makes our job look like jack shit. He didn't seem super happy about that. Miles starts setting records, and then the director's like, okay, everybody's chanting Miles now. So everybody's like, Miles, Miles. And he's like, no, stop doing that. Fucking stop it right now. I hate that. Go, Miles, Miles, Miles. That was funny. And then he's got to catch up with Bandini, the bad guy from Ferrari. Like the main guy. He's got to catch the guy. He gets up next to him, and then Bandini blows his fucking gaskets. It's all over for Bandini. And then Miles is like laps ahead of everybody else. Because of the whole brake thing, they decide that they check the rules and stuff, and they're gonna just swap out the entire braking system instead of just, you know, what everybody else is doing. They're gonna do the whole, like, front end. So Ferrari's like, hey, the fuck? They thought of some shit we didn't? Go fuck with them. And the guy's like, hey, you can't do that. And he's like, yeah, show us in this little book where we can't. Get out of my face. The guy's like, yeah, they can do it. So I tried. BB orders Shelby to tell Miles to slow down so that all three of the Ford cars can go across the finish line at the same time, which is fucking stupid. I'm not sure this really happened. If it did, what the fuck? Like, the whole character of Ken Miles they play throughout this entire movie is somebody that is not following rules, somebody that is not, no. And then Carol gives them the option to say, hey, do what you fucking want. It's your race, it's your car, do it or don't. I don't give a fuck. You're my man. Go, do you. And he's like, okay, I'll just do what they told me. It just doesn't seem like the guy throughout the whole movie. The guy throughout the whole movie, I think, was smart fucking enough to be like, okay, well, I'm fucking 2 laps ahead of these fuckers. I can either slow down 1 lap and let them catch up to me, or lap back up to them, right? So he's got his fucking photo finish. Boom. Three cars across the finish line. And then the next lap, or whatever, whenever, as long as they keep their fucking lead, he's still got all 3 fucking wins. Fucking dumbass. Like, what a fucking moron. So they have him slow down. He slows down, which doesn't jive with the character that they portrayed in the movie at all. It's a 3-car photo finish, and then Miles is like, yay, I won. And then they're like, nah, McLaren won because he started back further, because that's how races work. Like the guy in lane 10 and the guy in lane 1. Lane 10 is way back there, but there's still like 10's finish line is before 1. So they should have had, like, that's fucking dumb. Like, if they read the fucking rule books, I don't know, man. Doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem kosher. So McLaren is ultimately declared the winner, and McLaren is the most expensive cars, one of the most expensive cars. So that guy's still, Bruce McLaren is still a thing. He's still a racer, or he was forever, I guess. And now he makes super fancy sports cars that cost $2 million. Unless you work for a tow company, in which case you could just steal one. Specifically the tow company at Venice and La Brea. Circa 2018, 2019, when did this movie come out? It says it came out 2019, so that means we filmed it in 2018, which makes sense. So that means that Top Gun started filming in 2018, not 2019. So that movie, it had 4 years. They spent 4 years editing Top Gun into the military propaganda that it is. Ultimately, McLaren is declared the winner, and the guy who played his wingman was a cool dude I hung out with a couple times. He was a nice guy. And Rage Shelby confronts BB, accusing him of deliberately costing Miles the win, but an unusually sanguine Miles lets it pass, noting that Shelby promised him the drive, not the win. Defeated Enzo tips his hat to Miles, an acknowledgement. Miles and Shelby walked off together, with Miles telling Shelby that they'll win Le Mans next time. 2 months after Le Mans, during testing at Riverside International Raceway, Miles has technical failure in a car and is killed in the crash. 6 months later, Shelby visits his family and gives Peter the wrench that Miles threw at him in the beginning of the movie. The textual epilogue reveals that Ford continued its winning streak at Le Mans in 67, 68, 69, while Mons was posthumously posthumously inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame in 2001. Race scenes that appear in the film as Daytona were filmed at Club Speedway and Fontana, which is true. They painted that entire wall blue to make it look like Daytona. Any other race scenes were filmed at a Honda test track, doubling for the Willow Springs Raceway, and at a Porsche Experience for the Dearborn test track in Carson. That is inaccurate. Willow Springs Raceway shots were shot in Willow Springs in Rosman, California. Maybe some inserts issue things were done the Honda test track, but this is inaccurate. It didn't. This is implying that it's doubling for Willow Springs the entire time, and that is fucking ridiculous. If you've ever been to Willow Springs and you've seen Willow Springs, you see this movie, you will know that that is not doubling. That is the legit. That's Willow Springs. The Le Mans grandstands, pits, and garages were replicated in Agua Dulce Air Park. In Agua Dulce, that's true. Hangar area where the cars were developed originally at LAX was filmed in Ontario. That is also true. Ford versus Ferrari grossed $117 million in the United States and Canada, $107 million in other territories, worldwide total of $225.5 million, which is fucking hilarious because in the scene in Ontario Airport with all the Cobras and shit, that is like $330 million worth of prop cars. So, that's crazy, right? And I was like, yo, what are you gonna do with all these cars? They were like, we're gonna have an auction. So this one guy like bet me $5 that none of the cars were real, right? And so I took the bet because I talked to some people and they were like, yeah, there's some of them are real. They're legit. So the guy was like, all right, ask him. And he's like, yo, no, none of the cars are real. The guy in charge of the cars. Come to find out that one of the cars was real. Dan Gurney's is fucking real. So that dude didn't win the $5. Dan Gurney's was real, bro. So not cool. Critics' consensus reads, Ford versus Ferrari delivers all the polished auto action audiences will expect, and it balances it with enough gripping human drama to satisfy non-racing enthusiasts. My favorite thing about this movie is that I got to work on it for 42 days. That's the most I've ever worked on a movie in my entire life. I've been the lead in a movie. You cannot cut me out of that movie. If you try to cut me out of that movie, it will be a 3-minute long short film. And that was like 11 days. This was 42 days, like randomly across like 3 months, or October, across 4 months. So average about 10 days a month, which is the most I've ever worked ever. Yeah, that's my favorite thing. My absolute favorite thing about this movie is that I got to work on it for the longest I've ever got to work on a movie. I don't know how much money I made because I sent all my money to my elderly father and I was living in a van. So the second was like, how's those checks? And I'm like, I have no idea, bro. I guess they were good. They were probably really good. I got to meet some really cool people. Christian Bale, like I got pulled for this scene and he just walked up to me and he was like, hey, Christian. And I'm like, I couldn't even talk. I literally could not talk. I was like, okay. Fucking Batman. What? Loved his fucking work since Empire of the fucking Sun, bro. Like, come on. I know who you are, bro. First AD was fucking awesome. This guy named Adam. And he earned that gold watch. And then the second guy, this guy named Trevor Tavares. He was fucking awesome. You know, somebody's like straight talking shit to him. Like, not understanding who the fuck he is. And he's just like, really? Okay, we'll see. His right-hand man, kind of, Tyler Young, he was awesome. He was funny as shit. It's a good movie. I don't think any of the acting is necessarily bad. I think all the actors in it are good actors. Writing's good. The props are great. I really like the guy who made the props. This guy named JP. He had a hat. He was really cool. The second was cool as fuck. The first AD was awesome. Christian Bale was hella cool. Wasn't screaming at anybody. He was just a super chill dude. Matt Damon has more friends than anybody. Every day there was somebody new getting upgraded that was homeboys with that dude. Fortunately, we aren't friends, so I didn't get upgraded. Everybody loves this movie because it is a blast from the past. It is. The attention to detail was impeccable. The script supervisor was on her shit. I'm not a fan of the person who decided to make everybody's hairdo the same, because I think that people, especially people into cars in the 60s, were a little more individual. They don't really make movies like that anymore. Like, they built the sets out. I can't believe it only cost $95 million. They built so much shit for that movie. So many monster remotes. They had so many different kinds of stunt cars. They had like at least 100 stuntmen every day, $100,000 worth of stuntmen every day. At least 8 to 10, maybe 12, 13 days. Like they were up on top of the, hanging out, like their legs off of a ledge, 4 stories in the air, that a dude built like a couple of weeks ago. The gang boss was this awesome giant guy who builds all the sets for like Thor and shit, you know, like for all the Marvel stuff. Catering was great, but it wasn't Quentin Tarantino's catering. Quentin Tarantino has the best catering ever. It was by far the longest I've ever worked on a single production ever. It was really cool. There was a producer, was this girl who like got choked out by Emile Hirsch, and every time I saw her I was like, oh damn, I want to like be like, you know what, I heard about what happened and I think that dude's a fucking idiot. First of all, I could act fucking circles around that dude, all right? Anything he's been in would have been fucking way better with me in it. And 2, what fucking idiot tries to choke some stranger out at a fucking nightclub? What entitled piece of shit does that? I think there was this one producer guy who had like mustache. Maybe. I met some really cool people working on that. Like that guy. That guy's fucking awesome. That guy works at NASA. He welds shit for NASA. The guy playing Dan Gurney is Dan Gurney's kid, buying the car in the beginning of the movie. One of the real race car driver's kids. Queen's Cobra is the only real Cobra in the movie, and that is the real. So was the bet that there's no real Cobras in the movie? Or was the bet no real Cobras in the airplane hangar? I feel like the bet was there's no real Cobras in the movie. I agree with the consensus. It's a good movie. I like that I made the cut. I'm there. That's me. I am there. I am there. There I am. Over there. In this scene, I'm over there. Over there. Over there. Over there. There I am right there. 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 My favorite part of this movie is that I'm all over it. And this is like 25 minutes in. Should be way more awesome. I should tell you the story about the Bobcat. Like I went and I was like, there's all these sheriffs over here, right? So I went over there and I was like, hey, what the fuck? And they're like, there's a Bobcat, so don't go this way. I was like, all right. So then later that day I saw, Tyler, and I was like, yo dude, what's up with the Bobcat? And he's like, what the fuck you talking about, bro? I'm like, the sheriff guy, this is the sheriff guy. And I said, hey sheriff guy, what the fuck you doing? He's like, there's a Bobcat. And he's like, oh. So earlier that day, I was there in my van, right, getting ready for work, which involves smoking a lot of weed. I'm just doing background shit. Like, give me some foreground shit. I will not smoke a fucking joint. I won't. Until the day is over. Until I know all my lines, backwards and forwards. I'm not going to forget shit. Otherwise, I mean, I'm just fucking doing background shit. Come on, give me a break. So, smoking joints and shit. Listening to The Secret or something. Trying to get that upgrade. Never came. Matt Damon has too many fucking friends. So I'm smoking weed, and then this guy parks his car next to me. And then there's like fucking shit all of a sudden. Like, this guy is freaking the fuck out on the security guard. Security guard's like, yo, dude. And the guy's like, no, you owe me a fucking apology. You fucking called me a liar. And I was like, I think I should get out of this truck and give this guy this joint. I think this guy needs to chill the fuck out. But it seemed like he was trying to scrape a bowl. So I was like, maybe I should just like give him a joint. But then I was like, I don't want to get stabbed. So I didn't. And he's just like wigging out on the security guard. And I'm like, yo, dude, like, this is a good gig. Like, we got, like, they said like 12 days, man. And then it, turned into like 42 for me. So just chill, bro. Like, but, I didn't get out the truck and say that because I'm not trying to get stabbed. And then he's just like wigging the fuck out on the security guard. I mean, it was still going on when I left. I left and I was just like, okay. I stepped out this side, walked that way, and then I just skate. Like, I ride my skateboard down the hill, the maze, right? Of like, go get your thing, and then go do this thing. Go put the makeup on. Go get the damn fake grease put on you. Go get the fucking slick down hairdo that doesn't move a fucking muscle forever. Lay right. They use so much lay right on fuckers that lay right sent them a bunch of free shit. They're like, hey, great customer. Have a bunch of free hats. That guy was the Bobcat. The Bobcat was the sheriff's trying to get that fucking guy to leave the property. Because he was like, nah, they told me I was fucking working, and I'm fucking working. And they're like, nah, man, you're done. You're fired. Clock out. Go home. Did I tell you the story about how I accidentally gave Trevor's bottle of wine to Tyler? And when I went to give Tyler the bottle of wine, or no, I accidentally gave Trevor's bottle of wine to Tyler. So when I went to go give Trevor's girlfriend Trevor's bottle of wine, I gave her Tyler's. So wait, I gave Tyler his bottle of wine first, but I accidentally gave him Trevor's bottle of wine. I had a bag full of bottles of wine, and it said tea on it, so I pulled it out and I gave it to him because he didn't want to make a big deal of it. So I was like, yo, dude, look, you hooked me the fuck up. I'm not allowed to give you presents and shit, so I'm just gonna get you $2 chuck, $3 chuck, because a fucking, a greeting card costs more, so I can't get in trouble. So I just saw the tea and I gave it to him. And then when I went to give Trevor's girlfriend's, or probably wife now, when I went to go give Trevor's girlfriend's his bottle of wine, because Trevor's always busy, she was like, is this for Tyler? Like she thought that I didn't know the difference between Trevor and Tyler. Like I just didn't. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. Because I had no idea that they, like, for the last 3 days or something, they were thinking that I didn't know the difference between the two of them. That's just silly. How the hell could I get these two guys no. Trevor Tavares is completely different than Tyler Young. Tyler Young, Trevor Tavares. So yeah, dude, I know the difference between the guys. So I thought that was pretty funny. Every day you gotta check in or sign in or some shit. And I went to go do that, and then this guy, the fucking ginormous dude, was like, hey, I'm gonna cut you. I cut you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. That's cool. First of all, we're all going to the same place. We're all gonna end up in the same spot. And second of all, Jesus fucking Christ, you were fucking gigantic. You're the Juggernaut. Oh my God! Juggernaut! I was like, you look like the fucking Juggernaut. Like, I haven't read a fucking magazine with the Juggernaut in it in 20 years, but I feel like you look exactly like what I imagine the Juggernaut to look like. Called him Juggernaut Jim from then on. So I met a bunch of cool people. This guy right here, this guy is so fast. He's faster than all the stuntmen. He's faster than everybody. He must have run track. I twisted my ankle just trying to run in these fucking leather bottom shoes they were putting us in. This fool's gone. He's almost to the car by the time they yell cut. Lapped everybody. He is the Ken Miles of jogging in that scene. So lucky kid, who's very tall and super tan. One day he was white, and then the next day he was not at all. And I was like, yo, dude, where the fuck are you from? How do I get a tan like that? That looks like it's so useful, especially in the coming days with all the sunshine that's going to be thrust upon us all. And then they were like, yo, that's racist. I'm like, how is that racist? I just want to know where the guy's fucking lineage is from. How is that racist at all? That's not fucking racist, wanting to know where the hell somebody's from, so that way I could want to be from there in another life, so that way I could have an adaptability that is good for survival.